In this demo, I will be working with a 15 by 15 centimeter square tile to decorate the surface using coloured decorating slips. I will use a slip trailer and a needle tool to achieve a feathering technique as my chosen surface pattern. I am also going to include a 1 centimeter margin around the edge of the tile in order to allow the feathering pattern to be framed within a border. First, I need to make a paper template that is cut 2 centimeters smaller in width and height of the clay tile. This will be used to be positioned in the center of the tile, allowing for a 1 centimeter margin to be visible around the edge of the tile. Using a ruler and a fine marker pen, I will mark up and draw my square on a piece of paper to the dimensions of 13 by 13 centimeters. I will then take my cutting mat and scalpel to cut out my square template. In this instance, I am using Tyvek paper as it is a water resistant and a bit more robust than regular printer paper. Being water resistant, this paper can be used for the same task multiple times. Once I have my template cut out, I can leave this to one side whilst I focus on marking up the tile. My clay slab has been already rolled out in preparation prior to this demo and has been allowed the time to firm up to reach a leather hard dryness stage. It has been rolled and cut to my chosen thickness and size. I now need my ruler and a set of measuring calipers. I set my calipers to be at 1 centimeter wide, as this is the thickness of my border. I then place the calipers on each edge of the tile, with one of the caliper needles precisely touching the tile edge and the other needle marking a fine indentation into the clay, which is marking my 1 centimeter thick border. With my indentations made on either side of all 4 corners of the tile, I now have the guidelines necessary to place my paper template centrally within the tile, leaving a perfect thickness 1 centimeter border around the tile edge. Once I'm happy with the positioning, I then use my hands to apply pressure in order to ensure the paper is stuck to the tile. You can also use a rolling pin to help to do this. Be sure not to apply too much pressure, however, in order to avoid deforming the clay. You must make sure that the paper is not lifted anywhere along the paper edge, as this will lead to unwanted bleeding once we come to applying the slip. Now it's time to paint the border using a coloured decorating slip. In this instance, I am painting using a brown. My slip is at the consistency of single cream. I'm using a centimetre wide brush to apply the slip coating. I'm trying to the best of my ability to keep my painting strokes all following the same direction with an even light pressure in order to avoid patchiness. I will give 2 generous coats to ensure the colour comes out dense and avoids unevenness or patchiness. Make sure you allow the slip to dry to the touch in between coats. Once the slip has lost its gloss and is dry to the touch, the painted border now needs a painted coating of wax resist. This is to protect the work we have just done. Later down the line, I will be pouring a different colour over the entire tile, and so to ensure the border I have just done is not disrupted in any way, the wax resist will do this job. Only 1 coat is needed. In this instance, I am using a heat gun to speed up my drying time of the wax, but this could be left to dry naturally. I am using my finger to test if the wax resist is still tacky or whether it is dry to the touch. Once dry, I can remove the paper template. I use a needle tool just to find the paper edge and lift 1 corner. I have white slip prepared in a jug which I will use to pour the base layer of the design. Hold the tile in one hand, and with the jug of slip in the other hand, pour the slip from one end of the tile to the other, ensuring that the whole tile has been covered in slip. Using a sponge, clean up any areas which the slip has run onto beyond the square within the waxed margin. You will need 2 slip trailers, ideally with a fine nozzle for each. Have each slip trailer filled and prepared with your 2 chosen colours. Take your first colour. Work in freehand, create a linear pattern of lines which are slip trailed from one side, left to right, to the other side. Pay attention to aim to achieve a consistent spacing between each line. Once you have completed this, take your second colour and repeat the process by slip trailing a line in between the lines of the first colour. Rotate the tile so that the lines are appearing in a vertical direction. Taking a fine needle tool, drag the point of the tool through the wet slip from left to right, and work your way down the tile, repeating this action, leaving a consistent and even spacing between each line. This should be achieved in the feathering pattern, as the needle tool is disturbing the straight lines created and is moving the wet slip to produce a new pattern in its own right.